You are listening to the People Centric Podcast, where we talk through the toughest challenges that people face at work and give practical advice to fixing those challenges. Thanks for joining our movement to create workplaces that are happier, healthier, aligned, and empowered by putting people at the center of all that we do.
Hey, people-centric leaders. It is the end of the year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Diana.
Happy New Year.
Why aren't you as excited as I am?
Well, we're recording this way beforehand, and it doesn't feel like the end of the year yet.
Oh, you're just pointing that out. You're breaking the illusion.
I'm breaking the illusion.
You're going through the fifth wall, or whatever it is.
I can't lie to the people. They
November.
know me as the truth bomb teller. I can't do it.
It's true. It's November. We know this is the last episode that's going to come out for the year, but we do record these a few weeks ahead of time. And so it's not the end of the year yet. So I don't know what's going to happen. You're right. Maybe we record this. Maybe something really weird happens in December, and then we get on and they're like, wow, they sound like they're not even acknowledging the alien visits that came. New alien.
The aliens. Yeah, we didn't even acknowledge the aliens that happened on December 9th.
Right. Yeah. Why didn't you talk about that? Seemed like a big deal. Seemed like you should do an episode on that.
We should have. The aliens have taught us so many things since then.
They've really taught us a lot. I, for one, welcome our new alien order.
And AI became sentient on December 18th. So,
yeah. Surprisingly named itself Skynet just to follow the.
We all saw that coming.
Thing. Yeah. Duh. Right.
But, all us Gen Xers saw that coming. I'll say that.
We knew that was going to happen.
We've been
worried about that the whole time.
The whole time. Okay, but we've derailed hard.
We've derailed.
I hope none of those things have happened.
No, yeah, I hope that everything is just plain doing well. I hope everything's good here in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Here in the future, talking forwards to the future. We're talking to the future. So, well, we did talk about how do we want to end this year? What do we want to end you on? And we thought we'd kind of go back to basics a little bit and talk a little bit about culture. Because culture was a buzzword for a little while.
It was. It is.
It's kind of chilled back a little bit, but I think that people are you're seeing some people dang it, the companies where we did a culture and people came in and we really focused on it, and the people came in, they were happy, but then they didn't produce very well. And so now we're pushing back on it. And then for a little while, there was a shortage in the job market. So then the people had a lot of power. So they were I demand a person-centric culture. And they were saying we need more potluck suppers and ping pong tables and things like that. And
there was all those tech companies that had supposedly amazing cultures, and they were doing all of this cool stuff. And so then people were like, let's get sleeping pods.
Yeah.
Do you remember when that was a thing?
I'll tell you something. A lot of the tech companies are the earliest to adopt culture things. And then they are the quickest to lay their people off when something bad happens, it seems like.
And I also, don't tell anyone I feel this way. I'm just going to tell all of our listeners. I think half the culture stuff they do is nefarious. It's to keep people at the campus so they don't have lives, so they never go home. Yeah, eat lunch here. Yeah, hang out here. Yeah, be best friends with everyone here. Look at these cool sleeping pods. I don't know. It feels like one of us culty type things.
Isn't that kind of the plot of the movie The Circle? It's kind of the idea, right? There's more to it than that. Have you seen that movie? Tom Hanks and.
Oh yes, I read the book. I didn't watch the movie, but I read the book. Yeah, it's very much like that.
I'm in the book.
Oh my God.
She always does that. She's
I read a lot. I like books.
I'm academic.
I never said that. I read crap book. I'm reading a book called Her Royal Spyness. This is not educational.
I like to watch Netflix and chill. That's what I like to do.
And I read and chill, okay?
Okay. All right. And somebody recently told me that what I used to say that it also means something else, but
it does.
I'm
It does
sorry
mean
if
something
you know
else.
what that means. If you don't know what that means, you should look that up and not say that anymore because that's a thing. So that if you know what that means, you probably just got a little chuckle, which was
Mhm.
intended.
Mhm.
So culture. So yeah, so there's been this back and forth thing that we're seeing, and it's this idea of wait, do I care? I don't care about my people. I don't care if they're happy. I've got a company. It's a job. Show up to work, do the job, and then we're going to make profit, and that's what our goal is. And then you can go home and then you can have fun and you can go use the profit side, right? That's a company centric. I'll call it organizational centric. That's
Yeah.
true not just for companies, that's true for any organization. You could be a part of a school system, you could be part of a nonprofit, you could be part of a government agency. That's still your organizational centric on
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
What's the argument for that side, Diana? Because I think sometimes you historically kind of drop that direction.
Listen, there's something about that that does appeal to me, right? Go do your job, make your money, go home.
Hmm.
Do what I tell you and we'll be successful. There is something that appeals to me in
Yeah.
that vein. Um, so yeah, would the world be easier if that were the case? Yes, it would.
Yeah, just go to, when you're at your job is your job, and just go do your job. And it's a
Yeah.
job. And shut up about it.
Well, and I've also learned that that like weird ability to compartmentalize is probably childhood trauma.
Oh, oh my.
Yep, yep. So if you can do that, go get therapy, more therapy.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
good article on the good side on that. We just did an episode on that. Yes, go
we
get
did,
therapy. That was
we
literally
did.
the title of the episode, I believe. I
Mhm.
just shared it on my LinkedIn. I said I just shared it. I shared it 2 months ago on my LinkedIn. If you're listening to this, if you're listening to this one. Okay, then
Mhm.
there's the other side of this is like, no, 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 no. We want about, it's really about life, Diana. It's about like the people. Won't somebody
Mhm.
please think of the children? And it's more of what I'll call a person-centered approach of why can't people enjoy their jobs? Why can't people go to work and have fun? And why can't they take time off and work from home and do all the things? What's the argument for that?
Well, again, I think there is a part of me that that appeals to too. But every time I see that happen, I watch the money decline, and then everyone's like, "Wait a minute, we still need money." And I'm like, "Well, you should have been working harder.
Yeah, you should have
Like,
been
I don't should have been
doing
doing the
more
work.
stuff.
I don't know." It's
Yeah.
this like, do I want purpose or profit? And people like money. I don't know.
Yeah, I was talking to a executive at a company today, and she was telling me that in a couple months ago they had their best month ever in terms of
Mhm.
sales, best month ever, and they shattered their record, and they were close to like a nice round number. I'm kind of coding things here a little bit, but a nice round number in revenue, and they were short of it just a little bit, but they still had beaten their record. And she went to
Mhm.
the team and she was like, "We're about to beat this record. Like we're gonna go not only beat the record, we're gonna beat this other round number. We're gonna get this. We're gonna be the first time in our history that we're gonna hit this number. First
Oh,
time
that feels so
ever.
good.
And like we're gonna do this, and then but there was no discussion on her end of like, well, are you guys tired? How do you feel? Is it gonna be you're gonna have to
Listen,
work
I don't
extra to
care.
get it?
Hit the record. I don't go.
Get the
Have
record
some
set.
coffee. It's in the break room. Hit
Yeah.
the record.
Yeah. Now, like on the flip side of that, like we've all had those jobs where you show up and you're like, wow, you don't care if I'm here or not. You don't even know who I am.
Yep. Yep.
I think about when I was talking to somebody else about a former employer of mine. We'll just call them 3M. Uh, that's who they
Because
were.
that's who they were.
That's who they were. It's okay. And I'm not saying 3M's a bad company at all. So don't hear
Sure.
that there,
No, I
but
think they're great.
but more company centered than person centered, I would
Well,
say.
they're
At least when I was
gigantic.
there.
Yeah, they're gigantic. So it's hard to be
It's
equal.
harder when you're a
It's
bigger
harder.
company, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I work for the engineering group, and all of this stuff doesn't even exist anymore. They still have engineers, but they don't do it this way anymore. But they had a building where the engineers would all go to up in St. Paul, and I went up in there, and it was a piped white noise in this huge cubicle farm, and you
Hmm.
could walk in there, and it just was like the Dementors, like pulling your soul out of your body. When you walked in there, there was no signs of humanity in that whole
Yeah.
building. You would just go, and it was like an engineering sweatshop, and I was just like, man, I do not like this. This is not cool. I don't want to do
Yeah.
this part of it
Hmm.
either. So I mean, that's the argument, and that's what got me kind of interested in like, man, I wonder if is there something in between these two things? And
Yeah.
so as we think about like culture and we talk about, well, culture is really a set of habits, it's who you are, it's what you are. We're going to propose a different definition of culture or a different way of thinking about culture. And it might give you some insight into what we mean by people centric. And the definition of culture is, what if culture is simply the space between what the organization needs and what the people need?
I'm going to need you to say more words about that.
We're going to have to say more. We'll have to talk about that more. It's between the space between what the organization needs and what the person needs, right? The people need inside the organization. So, like, if you think about what does the organization need? Like, what things does an organization need, right? They need execution. They need people to do really good things, right? You need to do the work, right? What do the people need? Well, the people need something how they feel, right? It's something about how they feel and how they're motivated, right? And something about those two things, we tend to say we're going to choose one or the other. And by our choice on where we choose, that dictates the culture. So if you have a culture like what 3M had, where
Mm-hmm.
it's very organization centered, the
Mm-hmm.
culture is kind of predictable in terms of what's going to happen from it. And
Is it? What's going to happen?
well, I think it's kind of predictable. So, I mean, in an engineering culture where you are just pretty much focused on the company side of things, it was very much a culture of you kind of came in and you kind of keep your head down and you kind of try not to get noticed too much. And if you have an idea, you kind of keep it to yourself and you don't, you're just there. You're just rocking the clock out. I
Yeah.
can remember coming in on my first day. I've told this story before, I think on the podcast, but on my very first day I came in and I just immediately felt like there was a lack of life in the office. And it sounds like I'm really bad mouthing 3M. And I've got lots of friends that work there. So please hear the nuances in all of these stories. Please hear all of this. But I came in and I went and I sat down and I went and talked to my boss and she was like, oh, you just go on your computer, log in. There's a list of things for you to start working on. And so I sat down and I was starting to go through things and kind of setting out my office. And at some point I was like, I'm going to go find some coffee. And I went to get some coffee and I sat down and then our executive assistant, who we still had at that time, came over to me and introduced herself and then told me that I hadn't tightened the lid on the coffee pot. And she was very upset about it. And she had a very thick Minnesotan accent. Oh yeah, yeah. I see you found the coffee there. She said, you found the coffee there. And she says, you didn't tighten the lid very tight on there. It seems like that's pretty rude. Pretty rude for you
This
to do that.
this is exactly how I would imagine an office full of engineers.
Oh, it was
Just saying.
it was different. And then people came and like, hey, has anybody told you where the good lunch places are around here yet? Like, there were
Hmm.
lots of conversations about like anything but work that when people did talk and they were quietly held. And then when somebody from the sides came, you have to imagine this giant room with cubicles, and on the sides were where the walled offices were. And you didn't get a walled office unless you were a manager. So like if there was movement from the sides of the office, it meant that somebody in management was kind of coming towards you.
Coming.
And you could feel it. And even if there were noises around the outside, it was like scatter. They were like prairie dogs, like just the heads would pop down, like yeah, just over the cubicle wall. Like you're like I'm looking around. Hey, we're talking. What are you doing for lunch? Then we go back down
Yeah.
below the wall, right? It's kind of predictable. Like you get when you get cultures like that, you tend to get disengagement, right? You tend
Hmm.
to get people that aren't very excited about their job. You tend to get people that just get really really lost.
Hmm.
But what happens on a culture if you really really focus on the person and say like we're going to just make it rock. We're gonna just everything's gonna be great. Whatever you need, whatever you need. You can work from home. You can work in the office. You can work. What do you need? You want to work 2 hours a day. We'll find a way to do it.
Yeah, I like the distinction, but because you said the person, not people, right?
Not
If
the
you
yeah.
focus on a person, like if you focus on what I need versus what Dawn needs very different things than what Diana needs. And so we're going to design a company that has different rules for everybody, right? Like I think that turns into a little bit chaotic. And if I'm not getting exactly what I want every single time, what does that do to me? If I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I wanted to work 3 hours yesterday and I worked four and a half. And
Oh
I'm angry
man,
about it.
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Well,
Um,
this crap.
we've worked with some companies that probably fall into that category where the owners coddle a little bit too much, or the business is too focused on the people
Yeah.
side. And I like that you're saying person. I'm going to say persons.
Yeah,
right? So I'm trying to distinguish a
persons,
little bit.
the
It's like
individual.
all of the individuals, like
Yeah.
whatever you need. And I've sat in strategic planning sessions before where we talk about, hey, let's do this, 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 and this, and this. And I'll have one person raise their hand and say, like, I, that's going to be more work for me, and I don't want to do that.
hmm Which part of me understands, but I think it leads to, I know this is a triggering word, but it leads to entitlement that like the company isn't doing exactly what I need exactly in the moment that I need it. And so I'm just gonna not do what they need, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And in the last few years, I mean, there's with this push in culture, we have seen two things happen. One is that we've seen companies that have traditionally been more organizational centric try to do more person centric things. And they try to do things like the taco trucks and the chili feeds and things like that.
What's a chili feed?
A
A
chili feed?
chili feed?
You don't have
I,
chili feeds?
no,
Did I just throw out a Nebraska term that does nobody
that's
else
a
uses?
Nebraska term. Do
You
you
know,
know here in the Pacific Northwest, they don't call the Long John donuts, they don't call them Long Johns?
what do they call them?
Bars.
Bars?
Bars. It's a chocolate bar or a maple bar.
No.
Yes. I said maple long john and I looked like they looked at me like I had six heads. They were like, that's
Okay.
not a thing.
Shout out to our Seattle friends, but you all are weird. That's weird. That's
I
weird.
know. I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I
So
digress.
these so these organizations, some of them have tried to do these things, right? And then people will say, okay, well, I'm going to do the taco truck. And when they do the taco truck, people go out there and like, I love the taco truck. The taco truck's a
Love
lot
the
of fun.
taco.
Thank you. And it gives it a little boost shot in the arm, little shot of espresso. And the team like, okay, I feel pretty good about things. And then they do the taco truck again and they do the taco truck again. And then pretty much people are like, can we do something other than tacos? I'm tired of the taco truck, or I don't spend enough time in the taco truck, right? And people start complaining. So then you get
Like,
pizza.
I didn't even have enough time to go get a taco at the taco
Yeah, I
truck.
didn't even get a taco,
Yeah.
and it wasn't very good. So can we do something different? And then they try to do pizza, and then they do pizza and tacos because some people want to choose. And then somebody comes out and says like, "Well, I don't really eat pizza or tacos. I only whatever eat cheese. Can we do a cheese truck?" And then so the cheese truck has to kind of, okay, we'll do a cheese
Listen, I
truck.
don't know what a cheese truck is, but I want it.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I
I
hope
do
that
want
somebody
that.
runs with that idea. That should
Please.
exist. And then
Fried
they start to
cheese
say, like, hey, we need
melted.
more food trucks and more stuff out there. And it becomes, yeah, and you're right. And that starts to get entitled. And what's
hmm
happened, one of the two things that's happened in the last few years is some companies who have tried that are sick of it. They're sick of their people complaining about the stuff they're trying to do for their persons.
hmm
And they are starting to pull it back. And they're
Yeah.
starting to say, you know what? Forget it. We're not even going to try this culture thing. We're going to just do the organizational stuff. Now, what's ironic about that is they're not trying the culture thing. They're still going to have a culture. It's just going to be a culture of disengagement.
Hmm.
And I get that. If I'm picking between a culture of disengagement and a culture of entitlement, I might pick the culture of disengagement. I'd rather you just shut up and do your job.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so I'm glad you brought this back up. So I was sort of thinking about when you have the person or the individual centric things, the surface level things like the taco trucks and that sort of stuff. It starts to become entitlement. When you're organization centric, then it starts to what? It starts to make people just like sit around and wait to be told what to do.
Yeah,
That
I
what
think
happens?
it shuts people down, right? It shuts you down.
Mhm.
You're shutting down your humanity. If you're showing up and you're just thinking I'm living for the weekend, it doesn't matter what you say. My job is just to lay low. Like it becomes a defense mechanism, right?
Mhm.
Like if you're that, I mean, and honestly, like at my first week at 3M, I came in super engaged, like I'm brand new here. I'm trying to do stuff. And several times I got my hand slapped for trying to do stuff and leaning into something and for making noise by sometimes other engineers who were like, hey, this slow down, you get a little bit of that. Like
Mhm.
this is a run out the clock situation. Don't You're trying to make the rest of us look bad. Don't respond so
Yeah.
quickly to stuff like that. Like don't do that. And you get a
Yeah.
little bit trained on people to just shut up. Just chill. Go do your job. Keep your nose
Yeah.
down. Keep your
Yeah.
head down. Your retirement's just only 35 years down the road. You'll be fine.
You got 35 years here, buddy. It's a
35 years.
prison sentence.
And you can do it. You can do it. Well, I mean, I saw both kinds of things. You see more of the company organizational centric thing that I think than you do the over people side of things.
Yeah, I was trying to I think in my career I've mostly seen the organization centric. I have seen moments of person centric, and it does like deflate the whole team, but I think for the most part the easier one to see is the
That's
organization.
that's the traditional management philosophy.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it kind of it makes sense. It feels icky, but it kind of makes sense. Like if you come in, I'm going to break you and just work, right? And I think it
Mhm.
comes from like literally the old factory days of like the idea of the assembly line and like the I need you
Yeah.
to put on this panel and then put on this panel and then put on this panel and put on this panel and put on this panel and it's just every day. It's not going to change. Just keep doing it, and I just need you to do it. I
Yeah.
need you to do it.
And there's a term that's coming out of that. It's called malicious compliance. Have you heard of this yet?
No, it sounds like a mystery novel.
Oh my gosh, it's so great. So, I'll give an example. When I was working in this, it's a now defunct jewelry store. It was a nationwide jewelry store. It's now defunct. But they had started to want everyone to show loose diamonds. And we were like, great, that's what our customers are asking for. It's awesome. We loved it. But they wanted us to do it in a very specific way. We had to wear these like thick white gloves and lay them on this like towel and use these little tweezers. It was very difficult to do. And I was
Hmm.
like very coordinated and 22 at the time. I can't imagine what my 90-year-old coworker who'd been selling diamonds for 50 years was doing. But anyway, so um as they were telling everybody to do these things, we kept giving feedback of we're these thick gloves are not letting us handle these little diamonds and these little tweezers that you want us to use. I can't do both at the same time. And so for months this went on. Everyone was complaining. Diamonds were flying across the room. It was a disaster. And then they finally, but we complied, right? We were like, we're going to comply. We had three people literally lose diamonds because they shot into the mall, just shot into the mall. So then the store was like, well, be more careful. So we were more careful. That didn't help anything, right? We
No.
didn't want to lose the diamonds either. That's embarrassing and awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Also gonna need to know which mall was this? Where's this mall at? And you can
this
go
was the
check it out.
Battlefield Mall.
Oh wow, okay. I'm gonna go to the Battlefield Mall this weekend and just start looking under planners and stuff. So maybe they
They're
never.
just like diamonds just shot out, you know?
Wow.
And then they said we could use like these plexiglass screens, which also didn't help. It just the diamonds bounced, right? It was just a mess. But we complied. We maliciously complied. We did it every time. And when we lost a diamond, we were like, we were wearing these gloves, right? And so eventually they were like, okay, you have complied with our rules. You have done as we have said. We're changing the rules. So this has led to people just being like, you keep telling me what to do. I'm going to do it exactly the way you tell me to do it. And you're not going to like it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let you hang yourself,
I'm going to let
essentially.
you
Like I'm
hang
gonna give you
yourself.
some
Yeah.
rope.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
If
keep
I
doing
can't
this to
use
you.
my brain, then I'm
Hmm.
not going to use my brain because I
Yeah.
could easily take those gloves off and handle those diamonds just fine. But you don't want me to do that. So I'm going to lose your diamonds.
Boy, I have seen that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Clients, especially when we first start working with them, a lot of times we'll start talking to different departments, and the different department people will say, like, there's a much better way of doing this,
Uh-huh.
and I know it,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not doing it the better way. And we'll say, like,
I'm
well, why
not
aren't you
going to do
doing it the
that.
better way? And it's exactly what you said. It's like they're not giving them space to bring up the new way. Maybe they've shot down other ways. They're like, just shut up and do your job. Why are you bringing this stuff up,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And obviously, I think most employers would be like, well, I don't want that. I don't want that to happen.
Totally. Totally.
But it absolutely happens, and we
Oh,
work a lot in healthcare. And this is going to be a nightmare for those of you who didn't know this, but first, A, you should wash your hands if you're a doctor in healthcare.
yeah.
B, when they've done studies on it, and you can do studies on it through hidden cameras and things like that, hand washing compliance in the average hospital is about 50%. So about
Yeah.
50% of the time, people don't wash their hands when they should. And most of the time, when people don't wash their hands when they're supposed to, it's usually a physician or provider. And many of the times, the nurse who is there sees the provider not wash their hands or watches another nurse not wash their hands, and they don't say anything about it.
I don't like that. I don't like
And
that.
and one of the reasons they don't say anything is malicious compliance. Like that's not my role. I'm not supposed to do
I'm
that.
not supposed to do that.
Don't
I'm not supposed to say
don't.
those
I'm
things.
not supposed to discipline a doctor for sure. I'm not going to tell
For
them to
sure.
wash their hands. I'm not going to
For
bring that
sure.
up. And when
Yeah.
I have said that in the past, I mean, we've worked with some very, very nice doctors, but we've worked with some doctors who would be like, I don't like when the nurse tells me what to do.
Like,
Don't tell me
bitch,
that. Don't
I
call me
got
out.
this. I went to medical school.
I went to medical school as they pick their nose right before touching a patient, right? Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's been this kind of like weird like reflect. There's been like, okay, well, we'll lean into culture, and then we've done the taco truck thing, or we've done a lot of, they do, there's a lot of like initiatives out there. Like we're gonna
Mhm.
train people. We had a company that called us recently and said like, hey, we're trying to build trust on our executive team. Could you come and train that for us? We'll give you about an hour to build trust on our executive team.
Great.
And I
That's
just
gonna
kind of
work so well.
I just kind of reflected the question back and I said, you want us to build trust on your executive team in an hour?
You want us, who are strangers, to
Yeah.
come in and build trust on a team where you guys have been working together for years
Yeah. And build
in an
trust
hour.
and build trust
And in an hour.
in an hour.
Great.
We're going to we're going to go back to doing what we were doing before, but we're going to pull some time aside and we're going to take an hour. We're going to work on this one thing and it's going to be so much better. And we see companies do it all the time. Like, oh, my managers are having trouble with difficult conversations. We're going to bring in some difficult conversations training. We're going to do that. Okay, now they're better. But then you
Mhm.
don't change the habits
Mhm.
that led to the difficult conversation problems, right? Your
Yeah,
organization is a machine and your machine is perfectly designed to get the results you're getting, right?
totally.
That is a para quote from Edwards Deming. He talked about systems are perfectly designed, but yeah, we like to say that, right? I've been
Great.
quoted on that lately, and I feel bad because it's not totally my quote,
It's
right?
a great quote.
But it
My
is a great
God.
quote. We like great quotes. And the second thing that's happening, because I've been teasing this for now 5 minutes, saying there's two things that are happening. The second thing that's happening is as a result of this back and forth, is not only are we not winning the engagement game, we're losing it. We are actually lower in the United States. We have the lowest engagement levels that we have had since they've been measured right now in the United States. We're actually losing this game. Now, we, people centric, are not losing this game. We're not
Mhm.
losing this game. In the United States, the average engagement score is about 30%, which means about 30% of people feel really engaged at work. What does engaged mean? Engaged, you could think about it in management history as a new discovery. And the discovery is if people really like what they're doing and they lean into it a lot, they can do their job better. They're actually a lot more productive. How much more productive? They're about 40% more productive. So when I came into 3M and I was really excited about the job and I was really jumping out and I got a work order from a piece of equipment that was down and I went out on site and I worked hard to try to fix it and I got it back up online and then I was just really excited about that. And it had been down for like 2 or 3 weeks. Suddenly I'm hyper productive as an employee when I am engaged. And we've discovered that in the last 30, 40 years that, wow, that's good. We want that. And the people like that. We want to do that, but we don't know how to do it. But at People Centric, we have figured out how to do it.
Well, and people are trying to do it, like you were saying, with taco trucks and with
Initiatives.
potlucks and training initiatives,
We're
right?
going to
So,
do an
like,
initiative. Yeah.
that's what they're trying to do. And it's also failing. So, like, the super focus on process and order the company stuff, we all know that doesn't work. I think a lot of people will be shocked to know that, like, the pizza parties and the training and the quote unquote culture initiatives aren't working either.
Yeah, I know. I think some people are probably like, are you going to take away our pizza parties? Like, look,
Please don't. No,
we,
everybody
we,
loves pizza.
we love pizza. We love
Give the
pizza
pizza.
parties. We love taco trucks. We love all that stuff. It's not bad. It's just not going to do the thing.
It's
And don't
not going
stop
to do
hiring
the
us to come
thing.
do workshops, right? That's still a thing. It's still a thing, and your team
They're
will enjoy
effective. They're
it.
good. Those are good things.
Those are good things, but they don't change. They don't move the needle long term. You will bounce
What
back.
does move the needle, Don?
Well, we've run
Help
out of
me.
time, Diana, so our listeners will just have
Oh,
to pick up. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, wait, we got plenty of time.
figure it out.
Just figure it out. Figure it out. What's moved the needle is this discovery. And let me tease this way. We measure engagement for clients. The average in the United States is 30%. The average for a client who has worked with us in doing what we're about to tell you is about 51% after the first year. They're about 51% engagement level. So we see a 21 point swing, hard swing, which is significant. It's about the equivalent if you have 100 employees of adding 8 new employees per 100 that you have without having to hire anybody. Like you're getting that much extra productivity. It's significant extra oomph when you
And
add that.
and just to be extra clear, Gallup has been measuring this number for 40 years now,
Yes.
and it has stayed the same. Like it's virtually stayed the same for
It's been
40.
between like 34 and 30%. And it drifts down a little bit and drifts up a little bit and drifts down a little
So
bit.
this isn't like a moment in time. This is actually people working with People Centric have this number.
Right.
Got it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Not all the companies are doing that. It's just companies that have figured out what we're about to tell you have figured out something that is really, really cool.
Are we sharing our completely trade secret company knowledge?
I mean, why not?
It's a
It's
podcast.
Christmas, Diana. Diana,
Oh, it's the season of
it's
generosity,
the holiday season. Yeah,
right?
we'll just share it. We'll just tell people.
Okay,
We'll
go
just tell
for it.
people.
Let's
Because
do
here's
it.
the thing. Here's the thing, Diana. I've been doing this a long time. They're not going to believe us anyway. Like a lot of people are going to listen to it and they're going to be like, "That's great. When can you come and do in the next trust exercise with my
Listen, I
executive team
work
or workshop?"
here, and half the time I'm like, I cannot believe this works. Why does this work? Yeah, yeah.
Sounds like we're like selling timeshares right now a little
I
bit.
know it does a
It's
little
like a
bit, but
moment.
it's true. I still really want it to work the other way, where I just say, like, can you just go do the thing and people go do that thing and then they're fine because I give them money to be fine. I'm that way. I want it to be that way. It is not that way.
Yeah, right. So here's the new way. Here's the way that you can actually move the needle on all this stuff. Here's how you can have your cake and eat it too. Is you don't be organizational centric and you don't be person centric. You be what we call people centric. And where we got this is we said, let's look at what do the people need? Let's start with the people, because honestly, that's where we started. Because in my job and Diana, in your history and everything, we both worked for the organizational centric companies, right? And you go in there and
Totally.
you're like, oh my gosh, this is soul crushing. There's got to be something better than that. What do people really, really need at work to be really, really, to feel good about their job?
Yeah.
And so it turns out that people need 4 things. They only need
Well,
4 things, Diana.
and I'll also say these four things are validated by science. All the data points to these four things. We've compiled these based on the, I don't know, hundreds of studies and books that we've read. It's the four things that
Yeah,
people.
yeah, and you can read that. And some of the books, sometimes the books will consolidate 2 of the things into
Yeah.
one thing, or they'll move things around, or they'll do some other things. But these 4 things keep coming up over and over and over again. And we talked about this. There's books that you can read about this. The theory of it's called self-determination theory, and it's like what really motivates us. And it turns out it's not things like money or things like that. There is Maslow, I think, is a little real in that if you don't have enough money, then you're going to be thinking, I need more money, and that's going to motivate me. That is a good motivator when it's not there, but it's not a good long-term motivator. The intrinsic motivators, the things that get us really fired up inside, that you get all of me for, that last a long time, is number one is purpose.
Yeah. Hmm.
Why we do what we do. I know lots of people love the Simon Sinek books or the Simon Sinek
Mm,
videos, the why, the power of
he's
why.
great. Yeah.
There's the book Drive that's out there that talks a little bit about this, right? It's the why we do
Adam
what we do.
Grant does a lot of this stuff. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Adam Grant does a big shout out to Adam. I know he's a regular listener. I don't know that at all, actually. If you are Adam, hey, give us a shout out sometime. We'll listen
I
to that.
for
I don't
some
know.
reason don't think that he is, but I wish that he would be. That would be
Maybe,
awesome. Uh,
maybe.
Brene Brown, she has a lot of this. She talks a lot about this too. Yeah.
Brene Brown, Taylor Swift, if you're out there and you're listening, give us a shout.
It's just
You know,
any if you're famous and you listen, will you let us
write
know?
write a song about us. Just write a song. That'd be really cool. That'd be neat.
Oh my
We're not
God.
asking
Be
for a
real
lot.
again.
Yeah. So purpose. So we do a better job when we know why we're doing what we're doing. Just on a very, very basic level. If you show up every day, I go back to a study that was done years ago at a university, and I apologize for not being able to cite this. I didn't know I was going to use this as an example, but it's not important where it was. But they basically hired people and they said, hey, everybody, you're going to be a ditch digger today, and we're going to pay you $10 an hour, whatever. And they're like, okay. So they're out there digging ditches for $10, and then lunchtime came, and they said, now fill it back in. And so
Why?
then they had to put all the dirt back in there and they were like, okay, like why are we, and people are like, why, wait, why are we doing this? We just did all this work and why are we undoing all this work? And the people were just told them like, well, don't worry about it. You're going to get paid. You get paid by the hour here. Don't worry about it. Suck it up. So then the next
I would
day,
just go slower. You know, like if I'm just gonna if I'm gonna dig this ditch for an hourly rate, and I'm just gonna go a little slower,
I
you
mean,
know?
that's exactly what happens, and that's the company centric approach, right?
Yeah.
So then they did something interesting is they said, okay, well, tomorrow I'll come back and we're going to do the exact same job, but this time we're going to pay you $15 an hour.
More money.
More
Still gonna
money,
go about the same pace, maybe slower, you know,
more
like,
money. Yeah, and what they found was like two-thirds of the people didn't even come back the next day.
oh, I'd have gone back. I'd have been like, more money, I'm going.
More money, I'm going to go. Well, and the people that did come back, they dug slower, just like you said.
See? Yeah, I'd have been like, I can do this job.
If I'm going to end in the same spot, I might as well end slowly. You know, at some point, I
Totally.
imagine you just stand there and be like, I'm not going to do anything, and just
Yeah, like,
I'm going to see if
do
I
I
can get the
really
boss
even need
away
to
from
dig
here, so
it?
you don't see that I'm not working, and I'll just sit here and
I'll tell you I finished it.
the end result is the same, right? So, I mean,
Yeah.
that lack of purpose, you think about that. And on day one, you were willing to do a job of digging for $10. On day two, you were no longer willing to do it for $15.
Yeah.
So it shows you, research shows you that why is really important for us as humans. We need to know why we do what we do. We need that sense of purpose. We need that purpose. The second thing that humans need is we need community. We need each other. We need other people. We need to feel like we're part of the village, right? And this goes back to, I don't know, what do you call it? What's the study of science of people like when we're old science, like of people, cavemen,
Sociology or ancestry? Like, what do
and
you
and and to
paleo?
entomology, I don't know, sociology. It goes back to those days
Okay.
of the study of humans, right? And how we are. Right.
Yeah.
We need each other. Like there's good books like Seth Godin's got some good books about this, about like you need to be part of a village, right? You need to feel like you are part of something. We need other people around us, right? If you are doing your job completely by yourself, there's something missing.
Even introverts need other humans. I read this great thing that Steve Jobs in his final days sent an email to himself. And that email was something to the effect of, I am a tapestry of all of those around me. I did not do any of this on my own. I wear clothes I did not make. I shop at stores and buy food I did not grow. Like, I
Hmm.
cannot survive without others. And I just thought that was like such a beautiful sentiment from someone as, I don't know, kind of isolated and
Yeah.
off-putting as Steve Jobs. I don't
Yeah. Yeah. Introverts like to unite. They just do it separately. And it's true. I mean, I know that's a joke,
and
but it's also
quietly.
true.
Yeah.
Separately and quietly so that we can work together on this.
Yeah.
The third thing that we all really, really need is we need some autonomy. We love to make our own choices. And anybody who's got kids knows this, right? If you
Mhm.
force kids to make a decision on something or you make a decision for a kid, they're almost going to always resist it, even if you pick the thing that they would have picked. So that's hardwired into us. You start telling everybody what all to do, we shut off our brains, we disengage. We don't like that. And then the fourth thing is we all need development. We need to feel like we're growing, we're moving towards something. Sometimes we think of that, sometimes we mistake that as thinking I'm getting promoted or I'm advancing, but it's not really advancing. It's more like just building your own skills. You're getting smarter, you're getting better, you're developing something, you're learning something, you're getting happier. We need to feel like we're moving, that we're not stagnant as humans. That's the four things that we need as humans. So what we did is we sat back and said, well, okay, we need those as people, but the business has needs too. And as soon as like I jumped into consulting and started working with businesses, I mean, that hits you smack in the face, right? Because you start
Oh,
talking to
so
companies that
hard.
are struggling. Some of them they're not making the profit. They're not coming to us a lot of times to solve those. My people don't feel purpose. I don't think I've ever gotten a call where, well, my people are
My
lacking purpose.
my
Just
people don't have community or autonomy. I've never heard those words come out of a leader's
Yeah.
mouth.
No, they call us and they need other things. And so
Yeah.
we've spent a lot of time looking at that. Like, what do they need? What do companies need and all the things? And we have been working on a framework for a very, very long time. And we have tested the framework and we played with the framework. And what we've come up with is like, really, companies need four things, four basic things. Number one is they need a strategy. You need to know where you're going as a company. You need to know what the purpose of the company is. Where are you going? What's the direction? Right? Number two, they need communication. We need to be able to up and down the organization, across the organization, we need to share information. You know, as organizations grow, they tend to get siloed apart from each other, and it creates a lot of problems inside the organization. Very functional problems. This side doesn't know what this side's doing, and it causes errors and issues that cost us money, right? Very, 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 very basic. Then we get to the next one of what companies need, and they need execution. We got to get stuff done at the end of the day. We've got to make the product. We got to do the things that we're doing. Like that's the thing that I have so many businesses call us all the time and say, like, I just need my people to do a better job. They need to make the thing faster. They need to make fewer errors. They need to make it better quality. They need to do whatever the things are. I just don't need you to execute on a better level. And then the last thing that companies need is they need management. They need something to drive performance, something to think about how do we get better as an organization? How do we determine that we're doing a good job? Well, if you take the four things that the people need and you take the four things that the organization need and you put them next to each other, they align up very, 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 very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the purpose and strategy, right? Think about the things, think about communication and community, right? Lining up. You think about execution and autonomy lining up really, really well. And you think about management and development lining up really, really well. Those things really, really line up nicely if you're deliberate about it and if you do it systematically. So too many times what happens is an organization will say, I'm going to go do strategic planning. And they'll go do strategic planning and they'll work on something. They'll say, okay, I'm going to go do strategic planning and then we're going to work on that. And then they create the plan and they stick it on the shelf and then nothing happens. And no one ever finds out what happens after it. Well, that was you did a purpose for the company and organization and you didn't link it to the purpose of the people. We didn't link it to the people. So what we do is we say, when we do strategic planning, let's go to the people, let's get their input. And then we'll take that input and put it into the planning. And then we'll tell the story, but we're going to link it to a vision and a mission. And we're going to go back and then we're going to share the story back with the people so that they're very connected with the purpose. Here's the big picture purpose of our company. And here's our goals and objectives that we want to have accomplished. And when you do that, the strategic planning, something funny happens. It actually works. It doesn't just live on the shelf. It actually energizes people. It gets people excited about what they're doing. We talk about community and communication, right? People hate meetings, right? Most people hate meetings. I hate going to those meetings. The reasons that people hate meetings, fundamentally, if you really want to break it down, it's because it's a community without community. I'm going to go into a room where I don't get to say what I'm actually thinking. In fact, I'm encouraged not to. And all my job is I'm going to go around, I'm going to tell you what my job is today. And then somebody else is going to tell them. And you're not really collaborating. You're not really working together. You're not really building community. Well, we're missing something there. When you have a meeting to communicate information around the organization, make it interactive, make it engaging, make it where it feels like a community. Celebrate things, put human things into it. If you build some humanity into your communication, then people feel like they're part of a community. They get to know each other. And if they get to know each other, that fills a fundamental human need while also meeting a business need of communicating really
And
well.
if you can link that meeting back to the strategy and purpose, then you're like interconnecting all of these things and it's ridiculous.
Right. Yes. Yeah. The next one is autonomy and execution, right? We know that we have to have policies and procedures to execute things, but it can't be that malicious compliance thing that Diana's saying. We need to give our people some opportunities to make it even better. Now, it's better within a framework, right? Freedom within a framework. Autonomy doesn't mean do it any way you want to. Autonomy means to say, hey, look, we're going to be selling these loose diamonds. We want to do it like we kind of want to put some pageantry to it when we're selling that, but we also don't want to lose them. So come up with some really good ideas on how can we do this? How can we add the pageantry without losing diamonds to the Shake Shack next door, right? How do we do that? How do we build that up? Because when people start to come up with their own ideas of how to make things better, they also own those processes and they execute them better, right? So how do we make the things better? So that's again what the people need, and it fits really well with the organization. And then the last thing is the development and the management side. Like we need to gauge performance. But the problem right now is, we don't tell our managers how to do that. Managers don't know how to develop humans. We haven't trained them. That's a whole thing. We should train our managers how to develop humans, and the managers need to sit down with the people and say, like, what do you need? Where do you want to go? And then also give feedback on their performance. Like those two things, when they're put together, then it's what the company needs. The manager is giving constant feedback to improve performance inside the company, but then that feedback is in context with something that the person also is trying to work towards, and that makes them better, that develops them. That is where people centric comes from. It's the centric side between what the organization needs and what the persons need, right? It's the intersections between those two things.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hate that works because it's complicated. It sounds really easy. It sounds like, oh, it's these four things that overlap, but it's not that easy. There's dozens of systems, dozens of ways to engage people, dozens of ways to build all of it. And when you get it right, and it's all different for each company and each people that work within the company and each mission, but when you get it right, it actually works really well.
Yeah, and that's why when we work with organizations, it takes a while. It takes a minute. We can't go in and do an hour workshop and just say, here's what it is. You can't just listen to this and go back and completely change your culture. You have to change the habits that lead to all of those different things. We have to install a communication cadence and go one by one and add the humanity back into it. And then connect the communication cadence to the strategy so that the strategy systems and the purpose are also linked together, which is linked to how we hire and how we onboard people and how that works. And then we have to open up to other people and what they need and what they see so that they can improve processes and make things better. And then plug that into the communication and the strategy connection thing. And then we have to have our managers where they have to know how to develop people, meeting regularly with their employees to communicate and give feedback that also connect with those other systems together. It sounds like it's complicated, and it's hard and complicated to install. It is harder and complicated to install. Good things usually are, and they take time. But once it's installed, what you get is a people-centric culture.
Yeah.
And within a year, 20% of your people who used to show up and just do a job are going like, I am all in. I love this place. This is what I'm doing. That is what culture can do for you.
And I'll also add real quickly, because I know we're running out of time. I will add that even if you're not building culture within your organization, you can use these things to build a better workplace, to build a better environment in your department, to work faster and better for yourself. The concept works at an individual level and at an organizational level. So if you want to know more about that, or you have questions about this, reach out to us. We're happy to talk to you anytime about it.
Yeah, reach out to us and listen to other episodes of the podcast. We give lots of hints and lots of things in there to try to. We're not trying to keep this a secret. We're trying to be evangelists about this. Yeah. Because when companies do this, they make more money and the people are happier. It's not about just making people feel good. It's about helping you to make more money and be more profitable and handle more mission. If you're a nonprofit, it's accomplishing more. If you're healthcare, it's curing patients better. It's about better patient scores, better quality. If you're manufacturing, it's about making more parts, making more money, and the whole time of having people enjoy each other and enjoy their jobs. That's what it means to be people-centric. So thanks for joining us on this episode of the podcast. Have a great New Year's, have a great holiday season, and we'll see you here in 2026.
Thank you for listening to the People Centric Podcast. We are so grateful for you joining us every week. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Also, feel free to share on your social media with everyone that you know. It really does help us. If you would like to contact us, I have put our information in the show notes. Please reach out anytime. We love hearing from you. We will be back next week with a new topic. Until then,